What's up guys, RoyalZProduction here, and today we're going to be going through how I edit my fitness photos in Lightroom. I do have a tutorial which I'll leave in the link in the description of how I shoot my fitness videos, but today I want to go over how I edit my fitness photography. I will let you guys know what camera body I was using, what lens I was using, and what my camera settings were for each and every one of these photos that I took. If you watch my videos that I do post, my editing style is very natural. I like to go for as natural as possible, but put just a little bit of like a cinematic looking twist on it. You know, you're not going to see me put a whole blue tint on this entire image and then up the contrast. That's just not really my thing. I like to make things look as natural and bold as possible. If you guys like my fitness editing style, I do have a LUT pack for sale in the link in the description and in the comment section of this video. So all the fitness models that you will see me editing these photos for, these photos have also actually all made it onto the Unsplash editorial feed and range from both 300,000 to 600,000 views and thousands of downloads on each and every one of these photos. So if you guys are looking at copying a fitness preset pack to make your fitness photos look legit and dope, then definitely check out the link in the description. Alright, so enough blabbing, let's get right into this tutorial. Alright, so this first photo that we're going to edit, this is one of my favorite photos that we took of Crowder this night of shooting. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with the temperature gauge right here. So let's mess around with the temp. I personally like going with a little bit of a warmer tint, but this is kind of looking good with a bit of a cooler tint. So let's go a little cooler right there. That should be good. I'm not gonna mess with the tint at all. I usually don't mess with the tint, but I only mess with the temperature. So I just turn the temperature down ever so slightly to about 4,000. Take it how you will, but honestly, when I go through all these settings, I do it however I feel looks best. I don't really follow any sort of steps or anything. I just keep editing until I found a look that looks really good for the specific photo that I'm shooting. So let's get right into this here. So next I'm gonna mess with the exposure a little bit. This was exposed pretty well. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit and let's up the contrast slightly there. What's gonna make your photos look kind of like, I don't know, look kind of too bold or contrasty, if you see the blacks here, right in here, if you up your contrast too much, they just blend in too much with other blacks in the background. So what I like to do is ease up on the contrast most of the time, and I'll just add a very, very slight amount. Let's just see how it's affecting the skin tones. It's making the skin tones look a little more tan, so I'll just up the contrast ever so slightly. Generally, I like to keep the highlights a little lower than higher for the most part. As you can see, we go high, it blows out his pecs and his upper body. If I go a little lower, I'm gonna zoom in here. So I'm gonna bring it down a bit. As you can see, there's some light hitting his face right here from these lights on the ceiling, as well as on his traps and shoulders. So we wanna bring those highlights down until everything looks natural on his body. It's a little too much. Let's go like right there, looks good. All right, so shadows. Let's bring those shadows down a little bit as well. Especially if you're shooting someone with their shirt off for fitness photos, I like to bring the shadows down so it highlights any of the blacks. Like, I'm not even talking just the six pack, even the black lines along all of the veins, and we'll get a little more into that a little later on, but it just helps make all the shadows on his body pop a little more, making the subject look bigger and more muscular. Bring those up. I like to bring the whites up ever so slightly, make him look like he's kind of, glowing and in the spotlight. Blacks, we will bring down ever so slightly there. So this is already looking pretty good, honestly. We're gonna get into it a little more here. Clarity, I do like to mess around with the clarity. If I go too much, it's just way too rank. But I'm gonna bring this up ever so slightly just to make the skin pop. Like I'm only at +8 there, really not that much. I love the dehazing option for making a little more of a dramatic kind of a look. So that looks pretty good. I'm gonna actually go back into the shadows and lift the shadows. I'm gonna keep the shadows. If you ever want to zero out any of these things, you can literally, let's say I want to zero out the blacks, you can literally just double click blacks and it zeroes it out. So let's move on here. So we dehaze it a bit. Let's add some vibrance now. So vibrance, actually we're going to take some vibrance out and add some saturation in. Let's see how that looks. -3, 12, okay, cool. generally what I like to do is make an S-curve. So I will pick a point right here. Let's go to like the 75%. You can see the percentages right here. Let's go to 75%-ish, and let's lift that. Now let's go back down here. Let's bring this down, bring down all those shadows and the darks. And that's looking pretty good. Let's see, bring this up just a bit. So it's looking pretty good. So now we're at our HSL. So this stands for Hue, Saturation, Luminance. So I usually click all, and now I'll go through this. Adjusting the reds will definitely help your skin tones. So let's zoom in there. So this could kind of brighten up or naturalize your skin tones a little bit. For this is not really doing much. No, I don't like that. Okay, saturation, let's see here. That's looking good there. So make this equipment pop a little better too. So as you can see, we're gonna put this to -9. It's such a minor touch, but I mean, you know, it helps. Anything kind of helps. I don't like how pink that little bar is, so I'm gonna turn that down a bit so it's not as noticeable, because before it was just like popping. Again, like such a minor touch. I'm gonna turn it down actually a lot there, so it's not as noticeable. I don't usually touch the split toning too much unless I need to really go back into the edit, but that should be good. Sharpening, so I'm gonna stay at 40. Yeah, I'm asking to keep it 0. Radius, I keep at 1.5 if I'm gonna be exporting this to social media, either Facebook, mostly Instagram, but I keep this at 1.5 for all my photos for sake of export and keeping it high quality. Noise reduction, you can use that if need be. I try not to. I try to shoot at the lowest ISO possible so I don't have any noise in my images, but I'm gonna keep it at 0. No reason to use noise reduction. I really don't see any noise throughout this photos. All right, so next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click the mask. So what this is gonna do is we're gonna start painting this photo. So I'm gonna click on the image on the top left here. I'm gonna move in like that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick a spot. I'm gonna click on the mask, and now I will be able to paint underneath any of the shadows that I see. So what I'll do is I'll click a spot and I'll start lowering this exposure, up the contrast slightly, but I'm gonna mostly just lower the exposure a bit. So I'm gonna paint right in here on his pec, and we'll see how it looks when I lower the exposure. So you can see there, it's really emphasizing the pec a lot more than like this, and then I go in like that. So yes, manipulating the photo, but I mean, you want it to be picture perfect. So what I'm gonna do is just start drawing into all of the shadows. So as you can see, I hit all the veins here as well. That's a little too much, so we're gonna up this a little bit. As you can see, it's like such a minor little adjustment, guys, but it does really make a difference. So we're gonna go to like -0.14. So it's really not much, but it does make a difference, trust me. We're gonna see, look at that. That whole vein is now outlined. It's exactly what we are looking for. Obliques, color them in. Traps are always a good one to color in as well. Alright guys, so after that, if there is any other like small imperfections on the body, like I can see some like acne here, I will go and click on the brush tool and I'll scroll it, my mouse wheel down a bit, and I'll just click, boom, and it gets rid of those. Yeah, that's looking good. That's looking real good. Let's get rid of this one right here too. No big deal. Super easy to just brush her out. So yeah, that's good there. I'm gonna fit this, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually go back to my temperature. I'm gonna lift it, see if anything else kind of looks good in this temp. I don't like any of that, so I'm gonna Command Z, and this is my final product. So I just really like how clean this picture is. All right guys, so for the next photo here that we have professional bodybuilder and online trainer Adam Swanson of Divergent Training. So we did a photo shoot with him. First thing I'm gonna do here, again, I'm gonna adjust the temperature. So let's bring it down slightly. Again, this was shot in a natural profile. Exposure, since this was a little underexposed when I did shoot it, we're gonna lift the exposure to about +1.5 or so. So yes, this is quite a bit, but we're gonna transform it. Contrast up a bit, I think like +20 should be good. Bring the highlights down to -100. Shadows, we will maybe boost a little bit to like let's say +20. Let's go whites, let's bring them down, let's play around with it. Yeah, let's bring them down all the way. Blacks, we will crush the blacks to like a -40. I'm gonna move the clarity up a little bit. +27 looks good. Gonna dehaze it a little bit as well to around the same amount. Let's go to like +25. This is looking a little over contrast. We'll come back to that in a sec. Vibrance will bring up to, let's see, let's go +40, but then bring the saturation down to like, let's go like -27. Mess around with this tone curve now. So I'm gonna bring this down slightly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click into point curve. I'm gonna click this right here, and I'm actually gonna move this up to about 6.5%. That looks good, like right there. Now I'm gonna click this back again. So it's actually raised my whole curve, or the base of the curve, up. Now I'm gonna make a slight S curve. So let's go like that. Let's get into the HSL now. Yellow, let's bring down to like, let's keep it there. Greens, bring down -50. Aqua, let's boost it. The more that the blues pop, I feel it outlines Atom a little better, so we'll keep it there. That looks good. It looks pretty dramatic. I like this type of blue tint in the background only while having his skin tones pop. I'm actually gonna go back up here. I feel like it's a little too contrasty. Bump up that vibrance. I'm gonna pull up the saturation ever so slightly just to make the skin pop a little better. Now what I'll do is I will go into my sharpening. So let's keep it at 40. Again, 1.5 because we will be exporting it. We want that high quality, and then we'll leave it at 25. I do notice a little bit of noise, so let's actually bump this up to like +20, and then we'll leave all these settings. So yeah, that should be a final product. I think that looks pretty dope. I really like that. I'm happy with it. So this next photo here we have of Colby Ray. So we did a photo shoot with her, and these photos turned out really sick. This is probably one of my favorite photos that I took of her. This was a little underexposed, it was a little darker in this room, so I shot at a lower ISO. Since I did shoot in RAW, it's really easy to, you know, lift your exposure without adding any grain of any sort. So again, we're gonna start with the temperature here. Let's actually just make it sit at like 3900 for now. We might come back to that value a little later on. Tint, I wonder if like 20, a little higher. 22. Yeah, that's good. I like the tint. I rarely adjust the tint. If I do, it's in very small increments. We are gonna boost the exposure to around +1. I'm gonna add a relative amount of contrast in here. So I'm gonna actually pull the highlights down to 50. That should be good there. If I pull them back anymore, it starts to show this background, and I'd rather this background here be kind of blown out. I think it looks kind of cool like that. Like, I love how like the back is super blown out and looks like there's like natural light shining at her from the back and making her whole image pop here. Whites, we're gonna lift those. Let's go to like +8. We are gonna add just a touch of clarity. This photo's already pretty damn sharp as is. Either I go heavy on the clarity or I don't at all. As I said, I like to keep everything nice and natural. I want it to be like a brighter image, so let's actually pull this back to like -10-ish, so -12, good enough. Vibrance, let's pump that vibrance up. Saturation, I'm gonna pull that back a little bit just because her hat and gloves are a little too bright. Very, very slight S curve. I want to get into the HSL a little heavier for this photo. I feel could make everything pop a bit. Up the reds, yeah, take out some of the orange. -10 looks good. Let's go -30. Let's go at a lower, right there should be good. Let's pump the greens back from neutral 0 down to -100, so it kind of yellows out this. I think the more I edit this, the more naturally white I will make this fluorescent light. We accidentally kept the door open with the light on, I didn't notice. Let's change the color of the gloves a little bit so they actually match her hat a little better. For some reason the 25s look really good. Yeah, that looks extremely natural. Like, I love the roll off from the highlights here onto the skin tone, looks really good. Let's go to 30. Let's go to 30. I'm gonna go to 1.5 and that should be good like that. Now I am gonna add some noise reduction. Just a slight amount. I don't like to do too much of this. Keep that at 50. And I think that should be good. Again, once I do all those, I actually come to the top as always. and that is a final product. So that looks very natural. That looks really good. I love this photo. So one of my favorite photos from the set. So yeah guys, that should be a wrap for my how I edit fitness photos on Lightroom. If you guys enjoyed the look of my style, be sure to check out the link in the description and in the comment section of this video, and you guys can check out my lump pack that I have up for sale. It doesn't cost very much, but it can definitely take your fitness photos to another level. If you guys like this video, definitely consider giving it a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Leave a comment below if this video helped you, or if you have any further questions that maybe I didn't cover in this video tutorial. Also consider clicking that bell notification to keep up to date with any tutorials I drop in the future that will up your video and photo game. So that being said guys, I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.